Alam niyo po ba ang emotional intelligence? I believe emotional intelligence is one of those terms that we've all heard, but I think far fewer people can clearly, define it. And ako gusto ko talaga malaman kung ano ba talaga ibig sabihin nitong emotional intelligence. Ako, as far as I know, that emotional intelligence, you must know how to make sense of your own emotion and be able to express that emotion in a way that helps you meaningfully connect with your child. But I am so excited with our topic today. But before that, I am Nove Ann Tan and welcome to ihomeschoolph Zoom podcast, where we'll talk about what really matters most in our homeschooling journey. And you're listening or watching to episode 45. Ay naku po, sobra po akong excited for today because I know madami na naman po akong matututunan. So, bago ko po tawagin ang pangalan ng ating guest, I just want to introduce him first. Okay. He's a counseling for pastoral ministry for 10 years, a Clifton Strength Gallup coach, corporate trainer and consultant, and a US trained EQ coach. Also, coach po siya ng marriage kahit kami ni Chinky sa parenting, kino-coach nila, and people development. Let us welcome Kuya Coach Bernard Marquez. Hello po.
Hello! Magandang hapon, Ate Novi.
I am so delighted. Thank you po because this month is Father's Month and I just want our viewers or our listener be educated kung ano ba talaga tong emotional quotient or emotional intelligence. So, ano nga ba to Kuya Bernard? Please help me define this.
Okay, magsimula tayo ng dalawang terms. Yung dalawang, dalawang magkahiwalay na words na ginawang isa, emotional intelligence. So simulan natin emotion. Ano ba emotion? It's our system telling us there's something happening. Kumbaga yung emotion na yon, ang sabi nila sa neuroscience when they are trying to figure that out, kasi wala pa naman neuroscience sa unang panahon. So even in the Bible, wala ka makikita ng word na emotion. Ang nakalagay sa Bible is either the heart or the mind of the heart. Diba? Yan yun. So pag sinabing emotion, ang definition niyan, it comes from the word immovere. Latin word immovere, meaning energy in motion. Pagagalawin ka talaga niyan. Sabihin, pag masaya ka, hindi pwedeng naka-stationary ka. It has energies to make you move. Diba? Mas social, magso-social life ka. Pag ikaw naman ay sad, it tends to pull back and reassess things. So, itong emotions na to, very powerful to because it makes us move. In fact, sabi nga nila, emotions drive behavior. Very powerful. Kaya minsan, di ba yung mga babae, no? Mataas yung kanilang lagnat, may fever. Tapos pinuksan yung diary o yung magazine, sabihin ng magazine, mega sale. Di ba? Gumagaling. Dahil ang emosyon nila natutuwa. O kaya pagtingin nila malapit na magbukas sa IKEA, biglang pag magkasakit ka, tapos gagalit ka na, sabihin ng asawa mo, at saka na naman pupunta, ay basta, makikita kami ni Lord doon sa IKEA. Magsasalita siya sa akin.
Oh no!
And, diba, that is basically happiness. That is emotion. That brings joy as well. Joy, I'll read the Lord explain that. Medyo malalim na usapan niya. But emotions are the ones that make us move. In the technical term of it, emotions are neurotransmitters. Lalim, neurotransmitters na nanggagaling yan sa lahat ng signals na napipick up mo. Teka, Coach Bernard, saan mo ba napipick up yan? Una, napipick up mo yan sa lahat ng butas ng katawan mo. Saan yun? Mata, sa tenga, sa ilong, sa bibig, at saka sa balat. Which means, emotions are being picked up by the five senses. Di ba? Kunyari, giniginaw ka, nilalamig ka, di ba? You feel the emotions of coldness and parang minsan masarap pag umuulan, di ba? It brings many things. So, in a nutshell, when you explain emotion, tatlong bagay sa akin yan. Emotion is meaning, emotion is a message, emotion is a motive. Di ba? Minsan motive yun dahil kasi parang minsan gusto mong gumanti. Di ba? Parang parang gusto mong, gagantihan ko to. Motibo mo, di ba? What's the motive? The motive is to take revenge. At the motive is, itong tao to, bakit siya sikap-sikap, bakit ang sipag-sipag. Yung pala, takot siyang mag-fail. Takot siyang maghirap. Kaya napakasipag. And emotions are powerful. Bakit itong taong to, compliant na compliant? But itong batang to, napaka-obedient. Kasi takot siyang mapagalitan. Takot siyang ayaw niyang mapapahiya. So those things are very good. So walang tinatawag na good or bad emotions.
Mhm.
All emotions are helpful. Lahat yan. Kaya sinasabi natin, paano envy? Di ba masama yung envy? Well, sabi nga nila si Mother Teresa daw, he envied the rich because she wants to get all those money to give to the poor.
Yeah.
So envy is good, depends on who uses it. Jealousy. Yung sama ng jealousy kasi nakakagulo ng buhay. But we see in the Bible that God is a jealous God. That is for what? Exclusivity for relationships. Hindi pa pwedeng hindi ka maging jealous kung may asawa ka. Tapos, okay lang sa'yo may third party. Parang hindi yata tama yun. So, all emotions, happy, sad, glad. So, basics ng emotional intelligence, ang una-una is emotion. Core for emotions is mad, sad, glad, afraid. Yan. Pag dumaki sa course ko ng emotional intelligence, tuturo ko yan. Paano mo malaman kung ano ba yung mga emotions na nararamdaman ko. Dahil nga hindi tayo emotionally literate, we only say, I feel sad. I feel angry or mad. So you end up with just the 4 families of emotion. Mad, sad, glad, and afraid. Those are the 4 core families. And those 4 emotions, they have power and they also give you the message. If you listen closely. Kunyari, di ba? Itong anak mo, nag-iiyak dahil hindi naman niya ma-express kung ano yung kailangan niya sabihin. The only way you're gonna be able to generate information from your kids is basically emotions. Ang mga bata naman, wala naman silang cognitive. Mga 0 to 6 months, walang cognitive functions pa yan. Everything is emotional. Pag gutom sila, iiyak. Pag masaya sila, magigiga. And all throughout our lives, these God-given emotions were instituted in us basically for one thing, to keep us safe.
Wow, that's really beautiful. Alam mo, Kuya Bernard, na-hook mo na ako doon sa 3M eh. Motivate, message, ano yung isang M? Meaning. O,
Meaning.
diba? Pero ito, because we're talking about the fathers, I know they are having a hard time to really express their emotion. Maybe because of the origin of the past or the way they were parented by their parents, no? Hindi na ate, parang sinasabi mo sa akin ngayon, ako grabe, ang ganda lang, no, na may hugot sa lahat ng mga imbis na ano, 'di ba, imbis na mag-respond, nagiging reactive the way you parent. And especially in this time and age, no, or maybe I do not know, maybe nag-change na, thank God for all of this, like you're teaching about emotional intelligence. But our culture is having this overemphasis on mental intelligence, 'di ba? Rather than the emotional I'm not sure how the fathers will be able to gauge that. Pero ganun tayo, mental. Siguro kasi yan yung kinagisnan ko eh. Dito, dapat ganito yung pag-parent. And eventually, syempre, sobrang importante yung sinasabi mo. Yun yung component na how God made us. And sometimes we try to shun it, maybe because of the hurt, because of the pain. But how does a father manage that? Paano siya maging emotional intelligent? Now that we know the definition and maybe the benefits that you have said a while ago.
Nice. One of the things that I understand is that tayong mga lalaki at babae, whether parent ka na matagal o bago kang parent, we actually fall to the default of who we are. So we parent as we are. Meaning, kung mataas ang awareness mo at level of maturity mo, that's how you parent. Kung immature ka, ganun ka rin magpe-parent. Okay. Sabi nga nila sa Emotionally Healthy Spirituality, it's a book. Sabi niya, an emotionally immature person cannot be spiritually mature. Lalim nun. Ibig sabihin, kung ikaw ay immature emotionally, hindi mo alam kung paano mo i-handle yung emotions mo, how can you handle deep values and deep concepts on character and integrity? Kumbaga, ikaw pa lang hirap ka na dun sa pagmamanage mo ng sarili mo. So even self-management is hard. All the more relationship management and life management. So, itong isang magandang article sa Fatherly Magazine, sabi niya, the lessons on emotional intelligence, what fathers need to teach their son. Ang sinasabi niya dito sa article na to, traditionally daw, sabi niya, boys aren't encouraged to build emotional vocabulary. Diba? Kasi para sabi niya, bawal umiyak. Ano yan, pambawa yan. Di ba? Wala sa mga lalaki, sa mga ano natin na because we, men, di ba? Parang unang-unang panahon, parang merong value yung machismo, ano ka, caveman ang dating, di ba? Parang we only have axe or spear. We never use cooking pans. We play fire when we want to burn and we want to roast, but we never use fire to cook rice. Parang ganun yung mga lalaki before. And therefore, nagkaroon tayo ngayon ng shift dun sa medyo emotionality, which is a little bit what they call in the modern era, toxic masculinity. Ano ba yung toxic masculinity? Toxic masculinity is about domination, homophobia, and aggression. Ito yung tipong pag yung ikaw ay gusto mong mag-project na ikaw ay lalaki, kailangan homophobic ka. Parang hindi pa pwede pag lalaki lang. Tapos kailangan aggressive tayo. Show of muscle, force, and boy stuff. Diba? But the traits of toxic masculinity includes also stoicism. Yung ibig sabihin ng stoicism, yung papatay mo emotion. Kasi emotion has, parang sinasabi ng stoicism, is the root of false judgment. Parang pag pinasok mo yung emotion, mag-i-impair yung judgment mo. Do not display emotion at all costs. Parang ganon. But the truth of the matter is, if you study, kaya powerful ang emotional intelligence, if you study emotional intelligence, at the core of emotion, marirealize mo, whether you are stoic or not, you still have emotions. Hitler was trying to become a stoic, but he was run and he was ruined by anger and hatred.
Wow.
What are those? Emotions din yun.
Mm-hmm.
Pero, ang nangyari sa kanya, he went on the other extreme. So ito yung share ko sa'yo, no? Ms. Nove Ann, meron tayong tinatawag na spectrum. Hindi masama magkaroon ng emosyon. Ang problema lang is the extremes. One is you're toxic, either toxic, which is too much emotion, either too much sad, too much glad, too much afraid, or too much mad. Basta sumobra. Pareho rin yan sa hypoglycemic or hyperglycemic. Yung isa naman sa kabilang dulo, yung too little naman. Ito yung stoicism. Ang gusto sa atin ni God is what we call the tuned in. Hindi tuned out, tuned in. Kung sabihin, ginagamit mo yung pinaka-basic core. Alam mo ba kung bakit, Ms. Nove Ann, powerful ang emotion? Kasi yung emotion na yan yung pinaka-primordial learning tool mo na binigay sa'yo ni God nung wala ka pang cognition. In fact, many of your decisions, lalo na mga babae, no? Ang tawag na lang natin doon, intuitive. Or gut feel. Ano ba yun? Ibig sabihin yun, nag-decide ka based on the intelligence of the wisdom of what you feel. So, hindi masamang may emotion. Ang masama is when you become ignorant at masama is if you over-function and under-function. So, ano yung pinakamaganda? Ang tinatawag dito, ang emotional intelligence, pag hinalo mo yung emotion sa intelligence, ang tawag doon, emotional balance. Ganda nun. Ibig sabihin, you are looking at the place where you can use emotions to the max. In a simple definition, maraming definition ng EQ, no? Or emotional intelligence. Ang pinakamagandang definition na nakuha ko from my research is this, 1 of 6 seconds. Sabi niya, emotional intelligence is basically being smart with your feelings.
Oh,
Ganda.
ganda. I like
Kasi,
that.
kasi
Wisdom
minsan
pa rin,
smart ang
ano?
feelings mo eh.
Yeah.
Ayun ang
Galing.
maganda.
Galing.
Actually, alam mo, Nove Ann, ang emotional intelligence is a combination of a rational mind, yung cognitive, and an emotional mind. Alam mo kung ano yung nasa gitna nun, kumbaga sa Venn diagram, yung pinaka-concentric circle, ang pinaka-gitnang intersection nila, alam mo kung ano mind yon? It's what they call the wise mind.
Yeah. This is so beautiful, ah. Ganda.
Kaya alam mo, binibigay sa atin ni God, itong kita mo sa Malakay 4:6, ano? Sabi niya, He will turn the hearts of the parents to their children. And the hearts of their children to the parents. Ano yung sabihin ng hearts? Eh, ang heart naman, pump station yan eh. Kasi dati wala pa tayong fMRI. Hindi mo alam kung nasaan yung feeling centers. Yun, ngayon, na-identify nila that we have 3 kinds of brain. The active brain, ito yung papunta dun sa sa spine mo, sa lahat ng mga motor skills, lahat ng mga blood, breathing, hindi mo na iniisip yan. Computer box na yan. Second is your limbic system, which is your feeling brain. Ito yung gitna. Itong gitna at saka yung una, nandyan sila day 1 pa lang. Nung pinanganak ka, nandyan na yan. Ang pinakahuli, ito pinakamaganda nito, Nove Ann, ang pinakahuli sa natin na di-develop, alam mo kung ano? Yung thinking brain. Kaya pala minsan yung mga teenagers, pag tinanong mo sila at gumawa ng kalokohan, tapos tanongin mo sila, anong iniisip niyo ba't yung ginawa to? Ano sasabihin nila?
Wala lang.
Hindi ko po alam. Wala lang. Di ba? Wala lang.
Kaya nga yan.
Bakit ganon? Kasi sinabi nila, based on research, Nove, the thinking brain fully develops. Pag-aralan mo yan, andyan sa University of Rochester, University of San Francisco, California. Ang sabi nila, the thinking brain fully develops at the age of, guess what? Age 24.
Wow. Ang tagal pala.
Ang tagal. No? Kaya ito isa sa mga bagay na ginawa kong para patnubay sa akin na hindi ko muna pagdadriving yung mga anak ko not until at the age of 24 and up. Kasi sabi nila, yung experience tsaka yung judgment, hindi pa siya ganun ka-safe or hindi pa ganun ka-educated. They get impaired. Parang nababaya sila sa emotions. Nagiging mas emotional. Totoo naman, di ba? And so, etong Malakay 4:6 na to, ang sinasabi dito, inatasan niya yung fathers at saka mothers na i-direct or be smart with their emotions. And the hearts of the children also will turn.
Yeah,
so gagamitin mo ngayon lahat ng love. Oo. And this is what kami ni Ivy, ito yung namin, ito yung mission namin sa buhay namin. The next 20, 30 years, we're just gonna help parents. Turning hearts lang.
Much.
Turning hearts.
Ang galing.
So,
naku, ang daming mindset ko na dito. Na nagkaroon ng definition, ng clarity. Thank you so much. Okay, continue, Kuya.
Ito pa, ito yung isa sa mga verses na favorite na gusto ko lahat. The only thing that matters, basahin mo na yung Bible, memorizing mo yan, pero sinabi niya Apostle Paul, the only thing that matters is faith expressing itself through love. Ano yung sabihin nun? The only most powerful emotional intelligence tool, sabi ni Daniel Goleman, is the power of love. So pag naintindihan mo yung love, ito yung pinaka-root at saka siya yung the most powerful and highest form of emotional intelligence. Minsan walang logic, nagmamahal ka, pero yun pala may logic din ng emosyon. Kasi ginagawa mo yun dahil mas importante yung iba. It's a higher form of rational.
Actually, ang daming kailangan idig. Ang daming kailangan ang daming reflective, very reflective conversation that I really want to ask you. But then again, with concerns with father, no, na-realize ko lang din na they're often not connected with their emotion. Totoo ba yun?
Mm.
Yun yung napapansin ko sa kanila. So may disconnect. I'm not sure, no? Maybe the
Yeah.
obstacles would be they're busy or task-oriented sila or maybe lack of modeling. I'm not sure, no? But sometimes emotion is not considered as a parenting tool. 'Di ba? Yun yung parang
Tama.
obstacle doon eh. So,
Correct.
how can you be able to, as a father, I'm sure that you have grown kung itong conversation natin narinig lang siguro ng mga ibang tatay for more than 20 or 30 years ago. Because when I went to Israel, Kuya Bernard, I realized, no, I interviewed kasi one of my relatives there, nakapangasawa siya ng Jew, and grabe lang yung encounter ko, yung personal encounter ko with them. And because of that Malachi verse, no, the Jews, they consider themselves, for them, Father's Day is every day. Okay? It's really intentional for them. And they don't take it lightly. Okay? Not unlike with our culture. Pero sila sa kanila, Father's Day is every day. They're so in tune with their kids, talagang from hanggang sa mag-gave birth hanggang ending, nandun sila. And one of that I really admire, one of the fathers that I were in history is si Otto. Otto ba tama? I forgot. The father of Anne Frank. Di ba na namatay si Anne Frank? What he did is talagang he used all his power bago siya mamatay na make sure all of her books and writings will be published, no? Kasi yun lang yung pwede niyang gawin na para express na pagmamahal sa anak na dahil buong pamilya na namatay na, siya na lang ang natira eh. So anyway, ang dami ko na kinuwento. Na-admire ko yun eh. Na-admire ko yung mga Jews, how they, yun yung kultura eh, na nakita ko sa kanila. Since Abraham, di ba? How they connected. And I was trying to research ever since I went to Israel, the year 2019. I've seen the Jewish fathers, how they're intentional and emotionally, maybe hindi nila alam, na they're really connecting with their kids. But bakit ganun, no? Bakit nga nagkakaroon ng disconnect? And how do you think in a practical sense, now that we talk about the deeper level of it, kung paano nila unti-unti, pag na-discover nila to at nakita nila tong ating YouTube or narinig nila through podcast, what is the step that the father can do when they realize this?
Yeah. Ganito kasi, Novi, even when you trace back, ganda ng sinabi mo kanina na the Jews, given, kasi tayo nagbabasa ng Bible, pero ang basa natin sa talino eh, pero hindi mo naiintindihan yung kultura. So, ang dami dyan, parang iba yung meaning natin, iba yung meaning nila. Marami dyan. So, but when we go back to the ancient times, during the ancient times, children are protected and trained by fathers. That's the given. Simula pa lang nung time, prehistoric pa to, wala pa sila Abraham. During the ancient times, children are taught to hunt and to gather. Ngayon, ginagawa ng mga fathers din yan. Yung mga fathers na medyo gusto nila maging in tune sa kanilang mga anak, they spend time in the outdoors, di ba, tinitrain yan. Ang problema lang natin ngayon, in the modern world, 2021, ang way natin to get food and to secure the home and the kids, iba na, hindi na bow and arrow, hindi na spears. Pero kung hindi, modern na rin. So through the office. Yan ang isang makakaiba, either office or factory, which kadalasan hindi naman nadadala ng parents ang mga bata sa endeavors na yon kasi nga highly technical at saka highly exclusive yung trabaho pang tatay at matanda sa bata. Okay? Now, anong impact nun? The more and more the reality of the rift, nagkakahiwala yung parents, yung dad and the kids. Na lalong habang tumatanda dapat yan at the age of 8, 9, 10, 11, kasama na nung tatay, nagwi-win off na sa nanay yan eh. Napupunta na sa tatay. Thus, magkakaroon tayo ng bar mitzvah. No? Ibig sabihin, yung tatay na they get now the identity from the father. And doon ngayon sila magtatayo na lang, getting ready to form their own family at the age of 15 and 16. So meron silang window na mga 3 years to train that kid. Now, active fathers play a role in reducing the maladaptive behaviors, yung mga maling behaviors kung kasama mo yung parents mo. Ang problema minsan, yung mga parents, hindi natin nasasamahan yung mga bata at hindi nagagabayan na dapat intuitively nagigets ng anak sana kung kasama niya yung tatay, kita niya kung paano dumiskarte yung tatay. Ang problema ngayon in the modern age, yung tatay wala. So yung anak, paano ba to? Ano ang gagawin ko? So he is now left to the mom, the computer, to figure it out on his own. Kaya may challenge siya. Studies have shown that when fathers are affectionate and supportive, pag na-demonstrate daw nila yung dalawang attribute na yun, it greatly affects the child's intelligence, which is the cognitive and social development. It also instills an overall wellness of well-being. Gumaganda raw yung kanyang pag-aalaga sa sarili dahil, again, walang secret yan, isa lang ang secret ng parenting or isa lang ang way of parenting, modeling. That's the way the Jews did it. That's the way the old people did it. The way you become a good parent is to model the way. So an increased amount of father and child involvement help increase the child's social ability. Ibig sabihin, nagkakaroon siya ng abilidad pa lang magkaroon ng rules of relationship, nakikita niya kung paano yung social skills. Educational achievement, tumataas yung kanyang level ng pagiging, parang na-challenge siya gumaling, at saka yung potential niya to become a solid marriage partner. Ang dami, no? Talino, galing sa relationship. Pag inano mo raw yan, pag kinahanap mo yung, when you look for the root of that, it's the involvement of the father with the child. Medyo malalim yun. Fathers like mothers are pillars to the development, especially the emotional well-being. Kaya hindi totoo yun na ang lalaki lang panlabas. Hindi. In fact, ang ganda nga ng generation ng mga millennials ngayon. Mas nagiging involved ang parents na lalaki, na male parent, sa pagdala ng asawa sa prenatal, sumasama na rin siya sa pag-aalaga ng bata. Ang ganda na nangyayari ngayon because na-realize nila na balance is important.
It's true. The fact naman po, di ba, dito sa Pilipinas, we're very matriarchal Di ba? Masyadong naging but I think this pandemic will beautifully force the fathers, I think. I think for me, it's an opportunity, something that they need to talk about and to, reflect on this. Ito, ang dami kong, I'm speechless kasi I'm trying to absorb everything that you're saying na talagang malalim yung pinanggagalingan. Sige, continue with this points.
Actually, alam mo, Novi, pag naisip mo talaga ang role ng father, akala mo ang tatay kasi taga-bigay lang ng pera tsaka taga-secure ng bahay. But it's not. Pag ang tatay na doon sa bahay present, siya yung invisible force na nagbibigay pala ng confidence, nagpapataas ng trust level ng mga anak para mag-try. Tapos kapag nadapayan, the blueprint for resilience is in the father's quip. Ibig sabihin, nandun sa kanya yung secret ng resilience. Kasi sila, ginagamit nila yung resilience outdoors. So pag hindi sila nakahanap ng isda, nakahanap ng huli, balik na naman the next day. Pag may problema, iba yung terrain, yung resilience totoo sa lalaki yan. So nandun sa daddy yung secret. Ang problema lang talaga, how does the dad articulate that? So wala silang articulation before. Ang meron lang sila, I'll show you, you watch me. So nagkakaroon lang ng kumbaga transference through modeling. Pati yung pag-socialize kasi si daddy, nakikihalubilo sa mga leader of the tribes before or the leader of the society, the gatekeepers. So lahat ng skills na yon, sa mata ng bata. Kaya nga pala ang tawag sa mata, no, pupil. Because the pupil is very, very observant. Ang hirap palang matutunan ng mga bagay sa tenga, which means nakukonfuse sila kapag ang primordial learning system was auditory. Ang best pala talaga is pupil kasi modeling is what they call in psychology imprinting. So ano yung mga nagagawa ng tatay? Ito, tatlo. Bigay ko sa inyo. The imprinting gives the child the ability to find the pattern. So hindi na sasabihin ng tatay ko, susundan ko na lang paano niya ginawa. Kasi mas mamamemorize ko yan kapag pinanood ko. Pangalawa, there's such a thing called the father figure. Yung father figure, ang tawag dyan, yung stature ng tatay, pag nakita niya, ay, tatay ko, village chief. Lagot kayo sa tatay ko. The confidence and the trust, andun agad. Di ba? Parang hindi agad natitibag yung mga anak na pwede silang sakupin. The confidence is there. And the third is what the fathers give is the ability to inspect the quality and the status or standing of each child. So yung approval ng tatay, importante. Pag sinabi ng tatay, balik ka, hindi okay, hindi pa sa yan, gawin mo ulit. The father trains the kids to produce quality work. So, una, sa imprinting, yung pattern. Pangalawa, yung confidence nila sa village chief. Pangatlo, yung pagpapagaling ng competence ng mga bata through the approval of the father. Pag sinabi ng tatay, gumanon lang siya, ako hindi lilipad to. Uulitin na naman ng mga bata. Yun. ay nako, ang mga anak, bubuwagin lang ng mga bear yan at saka ng mga pagdating ng winter, patay kayo, hindi tatayo yung bahay. Isang ganun lang ng tata yon. And then, that becomes now, okay, yung mga anak, alam na nila, gagalingan na nila. So, confidence, trust, resilience, and social skills, imagine mo, sa tatay pala nang gagaling.
Grabe. Alam mo, naarala ko lang kasi yung tatay ko, namatay na siya more than 18 years ago. Pero tingin lang niya, Kuya Bernard, ewan, hindi pa nga niya alam itong emotion, pero pag tingin lang niya, wala na. Hindi na kami ewan ko, siguro your dad, well, different siguro with your dad and your mom, no? But sa amin talaga nun, wala siyang gesture, walang everything. Titingin lang siya. Alam na namin kung ano yung gagawin namin. And there's power to that. I think God really anointed the fathers to have that kind of power, no? And yun yung parang boost with, I still remember lang with the kids before sila pumunta sa conventional school. There was one time incident na pinatawag ako ng teacher. First, parang mga first or 2 weeks. And then, how's my kids? Ganyan. First time ko, no? Siyempre, galing silang homeschool, bumalik sila. Tapos sabi ko, ba't kaya ako? Ano kaya nangyari sa mga anak ko? Ganyan. And then, sabi no, your kids are great. It's just that I just have to talk to you about certain things because my observation is your kids are overconfident. Sabi ko, ha? Sabi ko, issue yon, overconfident. Kasi daw yung mga anak ko, hindi na daw binibigyan ng pagkakataon yung sa klase, sumagot. Kasi sagot daw ng sagot. Siyempre, pag homeschool, di ba? Automatic. Sila yung sumasagot, yung sanay sila.
Diba? Wala nang pupuntahan eh.
Oo. Pero, alam mo, sabi nung teacher na yun, because some of the kids here, kasi nga parang missionary siya. So, missionary school siya. So, parang, nagkakaroon ng parang anxiety yung ibang class with my kids daw. Because of that overconfidence. So, I have to, dahil because siguro kami ni Chinky, how we talk, no? Sa loob ng bahay, and they really express themselves, whether it's a negative or a positive thing. So, pag nilagay mo na siya sa totoong word, medyo tabu siya, no? So, isipin mo yung Kuya Bernard, ang reklamo, overconfident. So, how I gonna tone that down? And talagang pinag-isapan namin ni Chinky kung paano gawin. Nakakatawa lang. Well, it's just, when you were trying
Actually, yan eh. Ang social skills yan, di ba? Hindi porket, kunyari, lahat kayo, puro bida-bidahan, di ba? Minsan, okay yan sa barkada eh. Parang, kwento ko. Pero pag meron kayong grupo na 100 na o 50 na, pag nagbibida-bidahan ka na, nagiging outcast ka kasi dumadami yung hindi bida. And therefore, kailangan mong play up to the group norm. And so it's also a social skill na minsan, it's not an issue of confidence or not. It's the ability now to adjust in a new water. Kumbaga, yung tubig mo dati puro mainit, ngayon nasa maligamgam ka na, hindi mag-adjust yung tubig, ikaw yung mag-adjust. And so that form, again, that's part of resilience, the ability, the ability to become adaptable. And so ano nangyari?
Nakakatawa. Well, we have to filter our kids na it's not wrong for them kasi they were corrected for being like that. So ayoko naman maging negative yun and we boosted them. But then again, sinabi ko kasi iba na yung situation. It's not homeschool, hindi tayo konti. They have a good motive naman to keep on answering. But eventually, nakapag-adjust na at yung only boy ko talagang Mr. Congeniality na siya. So parang ganon.
Ito nga yung sinasabi ko sa'yo. Anything in excess is going to be toxic. Meaning, kahit sa'yo hindi toxic, your one man's food is another man's poison. So ang tanong doon, ito again, ito hindi mo matuturo, ito lang yung tinuturo ng wise mind. What's appropriate? Again, ito yung tatlong guiding principle ng emotional intelligence. Yung emotional balance na yan, kung saan sa gitna, paano malalaman kung balance ka? Kasi minsan, kailangan mo maging hot kasi nag-speech ka, nag-encourage ka, pero hindi mo pwedeng gawin yan pang one-to-one. Kung iba yung volume mo sa 1:1,000, sa volume mo sa 1:1. Ano yung tatlong guiding principle mo? Number one, tatanungin mo sa sarili mo, what is appropriate? Appropriate ba to? Kailangan ko bang gawin ito? Kailangan ko ba sabihin? At this, hindi, di ba? Bagay ba to? Kunyari, pumunta ka sa nakiramay ka sa patay. Siyempre, ang appropriate na emotion doon is condoling, sympathy, di ba? Sadness, grief. Hindi ka pwede magtatatawa doon, di ba? It's not appropriate. Second, is it wise? When you use an emotion as a motive, tatanong sa sarili mo, wise ba ito? Kunyari, sige, inaway mo ako, awayin din kita. Kaya ang problema, asawa mo yun. Wise ba yun? Di ba? Babawi rin yun. Di ba? So, hindi siya wise.
Yes.
Sige, ubusin ko yung pera natin. Pag naubos, di, paano na? Parang binaril mo lang yung kana mong pawa. Di ba? Pangatlo, is it necessary?
Yes.
Do you kill a mosquito with a hammer? Parang ganyan, di ba? Minsan over ang mga nanay kung pagalitan ng anak, parang nakapatay ng parang homicide ang dating. Hindi lang naman na-shoot sa hamper yung yung mga damit, di ba? Ganun lang yung consequence. Sabi nga sa batas dapat daw yung penalty, hindi naman ganun kalsing laki ng mga pang-penalty ng pang-silya elektrika. Kunyari, ang nagawa lang pinoprotect nila yung sarili para hindi mapahiya. So, nag-white lie, di ba? Nag-white lie. Hindi sinasabing tama ang white lie. Pero ginagamit na minsan ng mga tao yan. Kahit tayo minsan, di ba? Parang, ano ba, pupunta ba kayo? Pupunta kami. Pero alam mo sa sarili mo, hindi ka naman pupunta.
Hindi pupunta,
Kasi, di ba, socially, parang ang acceptable is, lahat pupunta. Tapos, sige, tignan natin, di ba, magagano ka na lang. But that's a system for us to protect. Pero hindi necessary na minsan pagalitan mo, lalo na yung mga helper natin, pag pinawala lang na ballpen, magnanakaw yung helper yan. Parang laging judgment natin, imbalance. And so what we can do is always ask ourselves, can we be better smart, or can we be more smart with our feelings instead of
ang galing. One of the things that with this conversation na nakita ko lagi mo tinuturo is always ask yourself and always be reflective. Na hindi naging habit yan that this is a very good habit that we need to instill, especially tayo mga parents. And eventually, syempre yung sinasabi mo kanina mga situational na between the nanay and the kids, nagiging reactive nga. Ang hirap naman makisama sa isang magulang na ganun, no? Araw-araw reactive. Kasi I realize, diba? Because maybe of the triggers, no? The triggers that they might encounter nung maliit sila or kaya parang, ba't ganito? And there were, I'm sure with your counseling with marriage people na parang sinasabi nila, Novi, hindi ako dating ganun eh. Pero every time na ginagawa niya yun, talagang nasasad ako. Pero sa totoo lang, nandun na yun, no? Pero
Mm.
na-expose lang ng sitwasyon. And I
Mm.
do believe when I'm trying to listen to you, no, talagang you need to pursue healing, no, as a parent. You need to pursue healing. You need to keep of knowing thyself so that you can be a blessing and a healing to your family eventually, no? Like this
Yeah.
emotional quotient. Naku, Kuya Bernard, thank you for this. And I really appreciate you and Ate Ivy for doing this. Na kailangan ihura. Kaya ayokong magkwento ko na masyado dahil gusto ko silang mabitin and enroll to your classes because definitely, mga parents na nakikinig and were watching it with us, this is a very, very good investment. Ako, particularly, nung hindi ako, kung hindi ako na-train ni Ate Ivy sa homeschool, siguro ang dami ko ring heartache sa buhay, no? Na talagang,
Mm.
alam mo yun na, mga mistakes nila na napag-aralan ko, na at least, nung nag-homeschool ako mismo, hindi ko na na-apply yon at nagkaroon ng wisdom. And with this, also with EQ, no? Especially with the fathers who are listening right now, do not be afraid. No? Do not be afraid to show your emotion. Pero kasi may solusyon, 'di ba? May solusyon
Mm.
about that on how we can be in tune. Yung sinasabi nga ni Kuya Bernard na emotional balance. We have that hope. And that's why I'm inviting you to those classes of Kuya Bernard's. Can you tell me about more of that, Kuya Bernard?
Yeah. Actually, meron kaming tinatawag na EQ for parents. Yung EQ for parents na to, it's a turning hearts towards our children webinar. So one of the people who attended sabi niya, thank you for this enlightening talk. Parents need to have a better grasp and understanding of emotions so that we can educate our kids to manage their own. In this seminar, in this webinar, I'll talk about why we do the things that we do. Bakit nasasabi mo yung hindi mo naman gusto sabihin? Yung parang, bobo mo, hiwalay na tayo. Napaka-stupido or ito na naman, again, do we have this conversation? Bakit natin nasasabi? O minsan, bakit natin ginagawa yung mga bagay na alam mo naman na makakasira ng relationship? And sometimes what we say is, I can't help it. Ibig sabihin, naka-program na, naka-algorithm na sa system mo to have autopilot reaction. And that is the reaction system of our brains when you get triggered. How do you get triggered? Through your emotional messages. Yung emotional messages, kunyari minsan may naalala ka lang, oh my gosh, isang area kung saan nangyari before you when you were a kid, napahiya ka, nabully ka, yun na, sira na yung yung thought pattern mo. Or may nakita ka yung nagre-rape sa'yo before, nang-molest sa'yo, ganito yung shape niya, nakikita mo, meron isang lalaki, dumating, ganun yung shape, na biglang you get reminded of. What is that? Your core memories are being tapped. Ibig sabihin ng core memories, kung baga sa highway, may maliliit na kali, yung core memories sa yung mga highway, yung lagi mong dinadaanan. And these are the simple things that you cannot forget, just like you remember dates and years. You remember all these things. And so, may isang parent sabi niya, si Baby Bislik, this is applicable not just in our relationship, but also either kids, but also in all our relationship. Kasi wala siyang anak, pero yung relationship with her mother and the siblings. Ito yung pinaka natuwa ako, sabi ni Gerald Isotinko. Yung question ko for more than 40 years, nasagot ni Coach Bernard at Ivy in 4 hours sa EQ seminar. Ang tanong niya, saan ba yung CR? Hindi yung tanong niya. Ang dami niya. Ang dami niya. Ewan ko kung ano yung tanong niya.
Naiyak nagpunta ng CR.
Oo, hindi ko alam kung ano yung tinatanong niya. Pero yun ang sinabi niya. Ibig sabihin siguro, yung mga dilema natin na, ba't kami naghiwalay ng asawa ko? Ba't ako lagi mainit ang ulo? Bakit na-frustrate ako tapos wala akong magawa? Gusto kong bumait pero di ko magawa.
Oh.
Mai-explain yan dito. Bakit?
Yes.
At the core of an individual is not just spirit, pero is emotion also. And then the body. So, ang sabi nga nila minsan, we are emotional beings. Hindi yon. We are spiritual beings driven by emotion executed in our body. Ibig sabihin, hindi mo matatanggal kung wala kang body, hindi ka makaka-worship agad, hindi ka makakanta, hindi ka
Yeah.
makapunta sa church. 'Di ba? Kung wala ka naman emosyon, ang labo naman nun. Labo si God, pero paano yung worship mo? Walang emosyon, walang passion, walang ardor, walang awe, walang submission. Those are emotional things that
Yeah.
God gave. And the reason why sometimes we confuse, tas lalo ito pa, minsan kinukonfuse natin ang happiness at saka joy. Oh, ang joy eternal, ang happiness, hindi po. Ang happiness, ginawa ni God yan as an indicator for you to figure out what's right or what's wrong. Alam mo kaya minsan pag nakakita ka na mag-asawa, maghihiwalay na daw sila o naghiwalay na, anong lagi na excuse nila? Hindi na ako happy. Yung mga nag-resign sa trabaho, ano sasabihin nila? Hindi na ako happy. It's an indicator of what your system is telling you, I cannot sustain it anymore. So hindi masama yung happy. Wag tayong maging ignorant dun sa joy lang hahanapin ko. Ang joy po is a status or a state, an emotional state, which is glad, na nanggagaling. Alam mo kung saan? Nanggagaling yan from serenity. Pag peaceful ka, second is joy. Pag wala kang peace, walang joy. Ako, ang ganda sa seminar, kaya iisa-isahin ko yan kung paano. Ito yung formula ng love, paano magkaroon ng formula love. Kung gusto mo yung anak mo, mahalin ka, simple-simple yun. Combination of joy and trust. Pag ikaw daw ay source of joy nila and you're a source of trust and they trust you, it's easier to love. Sino ba yun? Si God is our source of joy and I can trust God. I can easily love God.
Yes. Grabe.
Dami nun. Ang daming emotional formulas.
I know. Grabe. So, kailan po magsa-start ang inyong seminar? Do we have dates?
Meron tayong dalawang consecutive Friday and Saturday. Itong darating na June 18 and 19, Friday, Saturday, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m., 2 hours per day. Level 1. Kasi yung level 2, the week after, 25, 26. So, I'll keep the banner posted. I'll give a poster for this podcast. But I tell you, walang umattend yung seminar ko pa na hindi nila rinirave yung natutunan nila at that moment. Kasi nga naman, hindi naman dahil sa akin. Kasi yung information, parang sinasabi nila lagi, ba't di ko ito alam? And it's available now. It's for you to find out what it's about.
Yes, mga mommies, I think this is the best gift for your husbands. Sa mga tatay, the best gift Father's Day na talagang attenan niyo po itong seminar na to. Na Kuya Bird, dapat all year to kailangan ha, hindi lang sa June.
Oo. Gusto ko basta every Friday, Saturday, parang yun yung
Oo,
gusto
dapat
ko iset
magkaroon ka ng parang people will always look forward to that. Okay.
Kasi alam mo pa, Novi, and you guys are also teaching marriage, ang sinasabi ni John Gottman, si John Gottman is one of those who did a breakthrough in the area of marriage, in the area of how do you make marriage last. Yun ang forte nila. Na-figure out niya kung bakit nagdi-divorce yung mag-asawa at paano hindi sila mag-divorce. Sabi nila, one of the keys to becoming a very strong couple is to become emotionally intelligent.
Yes.
Nandun sa libro nila yan. And so, I believe nung binabasa ko yun,
si John Gottman, Jew siya, di ba? Kasi
yes, Jew yan. Jew. Wow. He did 40-year research, 3,000 couples. Pinag-aralan niya with all the physical metrics, wee-wee, sweat glands, heart monitor, video. Tinignan niya kung ano yung factor, bakit naghiwalay, ba't nag-aaway, at paano ma-repair. Yun, may seminar din tayo nun. Pero that's another level.
Yes. Thank you so much, Kuya Bernard. So last na lang, to seal this conversation. What is one thing that you want to leave to our fathers, to our parents regarding this topic?
Number one, siguro, ang kailangan natin maintindihan, God created us to turn. Ibig sabihin, wala kang any option because our design is to love our kids. Our hearts must turn to our kids. Kahit minsan nakikita mo minsan mahirap mo, hindi mo maintindihan, the situation is calling you, if you're being tempted to quit, give it a chance. Ito yung essence ng emotional intelligence. Kapag hindi mo alam yung gagawin, pause, pray, plan. And that becomes your cue. And then God gives you wisdom afterwards.
Thank you so much, Kuya Bernard. Marami pong salamat mga homeschoolers. For those who are watching and listening to us now in our podcast, marami pong salamat. Lagi lang po nating tatandaan, in homeschooling, relationship is more important than academics. Ako po si Nove Ann Tan, your homeschool coach, and I homeschool.